Hello everybody and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. Today we're taking a look at what The Rock is a-cookin'. Today it's a bit of an interesting match and I'm pretty glad about it. I feel like there was a lot of replays sent in recently that had all the glitters, Supremismus, all that sort of stuff, and I love taking a look at those, but I love seeing some of these matches too that are played on maps that are a little bit less common, like this one for instance, which features some really interesting terrain. So why don't we meet our team leaders today in this match, and we'll break down exactly what they might be getting into on this fight today. Spawning over here on the eastern side, representing the blue team is a Cortex commander. It's gonna be Shigislay. Yeah, we'll go with the blue commander here. Our Cortex team leader, gonna be spawning on the northern side of the river, and hopefully leading the blue team towards a victory. Now spawning in the pond, getting their feet wet here, diving into that naval laboratory here. As a Cortex commander, it's going to be Whizzlefloop, the red team commander on the western side, going to be splitting the lane right down the middle here of this very, very bizarre map. So, interesting things that you can do on this map. One of which is that these mountains are walkable all over the place. There's a path here that you can come up, and then you can come all the way down on this direction. There's some weird terrain, like you can come up this way and then go down this path over here. You can also go over here. And then you can also go all the way over here. So there's a lot of weird open terrain, and it leaves this big dead zone right here in the middle of the map for both teams, right? Obviously mirrored across the river on both sides. So both teams have to deal with this awkward kind of dead zone. And so oftentimes what we see is units that break through this northern front up here end up leaking downwards into the lower sections and then crippling the bases in this spot. And then oftentimes crippling the naval player as well. You can also use this little ramp right here to get in and out of the pond in case you have hovercrafts or anything amphibious. So you can also move units across in this direction. You can see how those would be able to then streak across the map. It's a really complicated one, and if you're not very familiar with this map, which most people probably aren't, this is not a super common map, yeah, it can oftentimes take you by surprise. I feel like I see a lot of commanders lose this base right here just because units leak in from the southern or northern section here, this high ground section, and then eventually they just lose too much economy and they fall behind. Now, Chaos, our purple team leader here, about to lose a metal extractor to a single tick that snuck away into the backlines here. We need a pawn or a counter tick, maybe. Anything fast and cheap to go hunt that down. Commander is going to start trying its very best. And we're going to go for another mechs here. Oh, we might get it. Complicated one right there. Oh, Commander just barely manages to keep that mechs alive. All right, nicely done, Chaos. Only loses a single mechs. Obviously still a good pick-off right there for the hot pink commander who sent across the tick. But all said and done, Chaos mitigated the damage fairly nicely. Love what Solus is doing here, pushing pretty far forward here, very aggressively, but I think it's absolutely the right decision. You definitely want to lock down this area. Again, you're essentially trying to keep your teammate from being overwhelmed in this section, not to mention that they also could run through in this direction and hit your base from that angle as well. Makes for a pretty complicated situation here. Air player for both teams, by the way, going to be the orange player for the red team and the lavender player here for the blue. They're going to be having a little bit of a complicated battle. It's important that these air players keep a good eye out for shurikens or early transports, anything like that. Another tick heading across the map right now, trying to find an opening here to harass the purple player once more. LLT was not put up in the main base, and we still don't have any of those very cheap light units, the pawns, the ticks, anything like that here. So for the time being, these ticks are going to, at the very least, be able to outpace the army of Chaos. Not going to outsize it for obvious reasons, but yeah, definitely going to be outpaced here. Now there is a little bit of a rascal over here. I wonder if we're going to be able to send that in. Yeah. Scouted right now by the orange player, indeed he pings. Let's Badet know the, or maybe it's Badet. It reminds me of the word bidet, but I'm not sure if that's correct or not. But anyways, yellow player now aware of that rascal just chilling in the back line. So would love to see that moved over here, but it looks like our blue team leader has other plans. He's sending a couple of these incisors across. They're trying to hold this little middle section here. This is a very difficult choke point to fight through, especially if there's artillery up on these hills bombarding. A little bit surprising that we're going for vehicles actually, because those vehicles are so difficult to use. What went on back here? Looks like we sacrificed the commander way too close to the base. Luckily the wind turbines didn't go up, but it looks like everything else got scuffed up pretty badly right there. My goodness. Yeah, typically you want to do that. Maybe this is a good coaching moment. What you can do is you can hold spacebar and X at the same time. X is in X-ray, and you can see that little flashing yellow and red circle right there. That's the radius of the explosion. So Yeah, just make sure you select your commander and check the explosion radius so you don't accidentally take down some of your own buildings with the commander explosion. Here are those incisors that were sent across earlier, and they walk right into the main base of the yellow commander. Very nicely done. This is tremendous aggression right now. These incisors are tearing apart the base. We haven't killed anything, though. Okay, those incisors actually have done very little so far. They killed a single metal extractor. Kill the build power, please. Oh, there we go. Okay, build power goes down. A couple of solar panels go down. And I would say with that much metal being lost here, this is definitely going to justify this aggression. Orange player letting the yellow know that he absolutely pinged quite a few times, and that's totally true. There's definitely quite a lot of warning here. Commander goes down over on this line. Okay, yeah, we've lost the green commander over on the left-hand side. Oh, it's a little bit of a trade right here. Looks like oh no, I see what's happening here. So Poikat has moved forward with the commander as well as the dark green commander, sending my color vision for a spiral here, but it looks like there was a bit of a commander trade. Lord Combian lost the commander over on that side. A little bit of a standoff on the southern side here as well, but nicely done right here by Solos, who's managed to take control of this entire high ground. That'll be very powerful, at the very least sparing his purple ally from any sort of backdoor harassment, any backlane harassment. Units running through these opportunity paths and doing a whole lot of damage right here. Rocketeers and pawns and LLTs and all sorts of other good stuff out of that T1 tier going to be, yeah, making it uncomfortable to stand around out here. Love that we're using the Rocketeers to push back these LOTs. It may seem harmless to let your opponent just sort of sit on these defensive structures up here, but really putting some pressure on and forcing them to reallocate resources around in different directions, definitely going to be quite useful. Lord Cambion de-gunning down some of the defenses that Chaos had set up. Got to be careful though, those Rocketeers are looking pretty healthy. We need some res bots to keep these up to spec right now. Whistleflute moving forward right here. There's quite a navy available. Looks like we've had some naval engagements all over the place. Couple hundred metal lying at the bottom of the ocean floor. We definitely need to see a res sub eventually. Can be quite expensive though. Scouser and Poikat, I think Poikat going to be trading out right here. Boom, go 2 more commanders, and that's 4 commanders worth of metal now lying on the top of this mountain. Do we have a resbot coming up? We absolutely desperately need a resbot up on this pile, eating up these corpses as quickly as possible. Centurion's coming out to try and save the day. Not sure if single Centurions at a time are going to be enough here, but maybe we'll be able to do it. Geothermal coming up as well. That's probably where a majority of the metal is going right now for the brown commander. I love the pressure right there from the green player, though. This hold right here on the bottom side, well, it's exactly that. It just needs to be a hold. We don't need anything else. You can also degun these, by the way. Solas has the commander on the front line. We might as well use those. And now medium tanks are pushing through. My goodness, yeah, this lane is just completely uncontested right here. This entire path has been completely uncontested. Our blue commander here has taken control of this entire northern hill. This is absolutely crippling right here for the yellow player, who has basically no way to push back up that hill right now. There's a tremendous army available for our powder blue player. Mozia? I'm not entirely sure. I think in the last video there was a player named Laios, and I somehow the entire game I never noticed that, and I kept calling them Louis. I feel terrible about that. Yeah, that you know, sometimes I miss the mark completely. Usually not for an entire cast, but sometimes it happens. There's the resbots finally hitting the battlefield up here, gonna assist in the reclamation efforts, taking all this down. And yeah, I mean, with this army, we could basically just push in and kill this entire northern side. Nothing here is gonna be, nothing here is gonna be able to stop this army from pushing in. Now, it is nice that we have the geothermal up, so at least there's a lot of energy. But yeah, there's just so much more metal available for the green players, both dark and light. This is a absolute nightmare. A couple of Rocketeers put over on the mountains. Okay, I like it. If these Rocketeers are able to fire, yeah, there we go. Gonna start blasting away at some of this stuff down there. Sure, take out the metal extractors, take out the LLTs, take out whatever you can here. I think that's a great idea. Commander has gone down over here, by the way. Sacrificed itself to stop this push. Bomber's also trying to shut down this laboratory. And you know what? I think with one more bombing run, they'll probably be able to get it. Yeah, coming back around for another bombing run. I think that T1 lab is in a whole lot of trouble. Ooh, okay. Repair from the commander going to keep it alive, and that crossbow going to shoot down the bomber. Nicely done right there. Resbot does fall. Reinforcements sent down from the high ground here from Solos, and I really like that. I think, yep, T2 transition is exactly the right idea. So Solos playing this wonderfully right here. The Cyan commander doing an excellent job. Now, Northern Front looking a whole lot worse for the red team. Well, the Southern Front is not looking tremendous for the red team. Whoops, either, but the Northern Front certainly not. Cut away, but cut back just in time to see the yellow commander go up in smoke here, leaving a nice little puddle behind, and those maces are now going to shut down all that remains of this laboratory. It's just the T1 vehicle bay, a couple of incisors here as well, but this is a crumbled player base right here. Yeah, there's not really any recovery. There is a little bit of static defense over here. We have a couple of beamer turrets. Looks like some units have gone down over here as well. Centurion trying to hold the line. Rocketeers pushing directly into the LLTs. Not exactly what they want to be doing here. Don't think anyway. I mean, that Centurion is taking effectively as good a trade as it's ever going to get. It's just not enough. And yeah, that's going to be a concise push on the northern front. I mean, if those two armies combine, maybe even just handing over these units wouldn't be the worst idea here. Just either one of these players handing the units over to the others. So at the very least, they're all moving in synchrony here. There's the Centurion, though. Has a lot of HP, so at the very least, it's durable enough to try and deal with all of this. There's just only so much it can do. LOT's holding the line. Bombers trying to at the very least as well. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get it. Bunch of boats fighting each other. Those torpedo launchers really sting though. Down goes one of the LSA here for the powder green commander. Seafoam commander. Ironically playing in the ocean spot. Very nice, very thematic. Lord Cambion trying to push forward right here, but this hole in the ground is actually quite a menacing obstacle to push forward into. We need a sturdier composition here. I think with your opponent going into full-blown mace production, it really makes sense to go for something a little bit hardier. Maces yourself, maybe Rocketeers, something like that could certainly do a decent enough job. That being said, the Ticks did a great job of distracting right there so that the pawns could jump on top of this. Just about as effective of a push right there as you could hope for. Still, though, just not going to be enough. There's so much more mass out on the field right now for the purple commander. Lord Cambion just trying to eat up the wreckage here of this commander. Not really interested in anything else, just wants to get that commander off the field. We do have T2 hitting the front lines at this point. Single hound up on the fronts. Not going to be tremendously impactful all on its own, but I think eventually it will be. T2 should be well underway right now, by the way, for Solos, our Cyan player on the southern side. Rocket bots and maces, though. Rocket bots and thugs. These aggravators and thugs pushing forward here. They shut down the entire economy, T2 and all, for the orange player. And just like that, the entire northern side has been swept away. Really just a fundamental lack of understanding of the dynamics of this match right here. And I can hardly blame the yellow commander for how complicated it is to hold this hillside. You have to hold this choke point right here. You have to hold this hill, and then you have to push. And you also have to hold this lane, which can be tricky without a good navy. It's a lot to manage, and the blue commander just absolutely took advantage of that, and that's exactly what we see right here. The northern side has crumbled one by one, slowly but surely. And now there's not a whole lot left remaining for the red team to do about it. They're going to need some sort of tremendous Hail Mary in order to break through here. Not sure if the T2 transition is going to be enough. We already have T2 coming up for Solos, so he's going to be pushed back maybe just a little bit, but once those T2 catch up with the other T2, it'll eventually turn into an even trade again, and all will be well in the world. Radar and radar jammer over here, quite nice. Giving those hounds a little bit extra vision, a little bit extra range, going to let them be even more lethal to those T1. Going to blast them apart quite nicely here. Now this is a tricky situation because you need, oh, well, okay, that's quite nice. Medium tanks running into the line. I was going to say, you need some way to distribute your forces in a way that you can actually be aggressive with them. Can you drive across there? I wonder if you can drive medium tanks across there, because it sure looks like those tanks took a very quick path directly across and now into the T2 production centers here for the tan player. They're going to get the base. Oh, they do get the production facility. T2 lab goes down right there for those medium tanks. Metal extractor in a whole lot of trouble here. I think eventually these recluses and hounds and all the rest of it are going to clean up those tanks, but man, what a brutal run by right there. Very, very efficient for the blue commander, shutting down so much production here for the red team. Resbots over here, by the way. Oh, they're resurrecting, actually. I was thinking they were eating that lab, but they're actually going to res the air lab in the enemy's backline. Cool. Very awesome to see. Now, because of that aggression in the backline, Lord Cambodian definitely... No, sorry, not Cambodian. Lord Cambion has to retreat off the front line right here. Maybe he's Cambodian. Far be it for me to tell. You all know my geography is absolutely atrocious. Pushed off the front line here. Back on track. Pushed off the front line. Hounds are going to be nice for holding the line, but there's no radar here for Cambion. It is coming up slowly but surely. But at least for the time being, the blue hounds have the advantage. Okay, yeah, so units can trudge through the center of this right here. It's quite nice. Rocket spiders trying their best to nullify the effect that these thugs are having across the field right here, and doing a decent enough job at it, but not perfect. Obviously, any moving target is going to be pretty easy for said target to avoid the recluse rockets. A couple of artillery moving over in this direction, trying to shell away at the red base. Love to see that. Air Lab is up and running right now for Poicat. Down go those thugs. Navy also going to get engaged here and start firing away at a lot of these thugs that are over on the little waterway, the water access way. Cambion starting to wall this off right now. What a massive army building for Mazia. Mazie? However you say it. The Powder Blue Commander building up a tremendous force right now, and I wonder if it's not time to send them across. I think probably this many thugs could definitely do enough damage over on the other side of the field. We just need to send them over. Red team. Sorry, I was getting confused because Whizzlefloop is going on an absolute tear right now. It's like basically winning the naval battle. Oddly enough, winning the naval battle, but losing the main base. Yeah, the red team is in a bit of a tricky situation. I mean, we need to basically win this entire lane right now. And it is possible. We do have shockwaves enabled. Does that mean we have the extra units pack enabled as well? I think that is what that means. No. Maybe just the experimental release candidate units. I think those are the ones. Anyways. Sprinters now make it ashore. Gonna start, well, sprinting. Somehow those recluses actually ended up firing into the sprinters and taking them all down. Wow. Did not expect those recluses to be so effective against sprinters, but there we go. You saw it here first, folks. And yeah, they're going to be tremendous against these maces in the water. The water does slow down those T1 bots, and so yeah, these recluses are going to have an absolute field day firing away at a whole bunch of these units right here. A little bit of AoE on their attack as well helps with those clumped up units, and my god, was that a neat cleanup right there. Now, there's a bunch of Sheldon building here, so those T2 bots are going to be a whole lot nicer for the, the green player to use over here. Red player has been all but effectively wiped from the game here at this point too. In fact, decides to resign. Commander standing over here, but it is but a hollow shell of its former self. Sprinters trying desperately to berate him with bullets. Down he goes. Commander blasted to smithereens right here. The red commander, that is. We need one desperate push right now. Oh, there's that shockwave firing away. Paralyzing all of these units over here. Making it a very efficient trade for those hounds. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about the shockwave. I've spoken on this before, but I feel like it should be I feel like it should emit an AoE from its center rather than like firing a little pulse. I feel like it should have like a little AoE that it emits. That's just me personally, though. Ironically, the spiders are pushing up this hillside, but you don't need spiders to push up this hillside. Regular bots can walk right up this ramp here. This is a tremendous force. Certainly capable of doing some serious work. It's a lot of spiders and a lot of hounds. Actually, there's no spiders. Spiders haven't come down from the hills yet. Mostly just hounds and medium tanks then. A lot of resurrected medium tanks too. Always a bummer to see resurrected units coming back towards your base, but yeah, we've totally won the fight right now. Push, push, push. I think if these units push past and they kill... Man, I need to get some more water, huh? Running a little low over here. If these units push past and kill at least 3 of these bases, the red team might have the foothold that they need in order to come back into this match. Maybe. Such an advantage right now, though, with all of this eco that is being pumped into the blue team right now. You can see it up in the top bar of the blue team, nearly doubling the eco of the red. Being said, these T2 units are on a tear right now. T2 lab goes down, as well as all the production right here, so while the blue team has an advantage, they're quickly, very quickly losing the one that they currently have by trading it out for the southern side. Suddenly, this is turning into a south versus north battle. Very, very quickly. T2 force built over here to make sure that no T2 pushes across the waterway right now. Tricky to find the right way to engage across this little waterway over here. Meanwhile, the commander trying to hold its ground over here does go down, and that's going to lead these T2 units directly into the main base right here. For the Lavender player, Down goes some of the build power as well. That T2 lab is not going to be able to pump out hardly any more units here. Anti-nuke was almost finished, not going to happen. Not that there's a nuclear threat out on the map here, but it's a bummer to lose it regardless. And there we go. Wind turbine's going to react as well here. Metal extractors falling. T1 units sprinting across as well. Sprinters trying to catch all of this, clean it up as much as possible. Yeah, losing those metal extractors sucks. Those are producing 8 metal per second. We lost about 6 of them. Finally, all of that push is cleaned up right here. There's a whole new wave headed on over, though. We have a whole bunch of T2 units. The Defender's advantage is going to be tremendous, though. We've got a massive force that's now been built up by solos. It's unfortunate that Creedom lost his entire base over here, but certainly not going to be impossible to rebuild. We have a lot of build power that survived. If that build power had gone up, that would have been a much worse situation. But just the fact that we can actually spend all the resources that we have here, yeah, gonna make that, gonna mitigate the sting of that just a little bit, ever so slightly. Rocket Spider's getting jumped by grunts right here. I definitely don't think that's where you want them. Yeah. Getting blasted apart right here by the grunts and the Sheldons, and the medium tanks now jumping on top of them as well, and down go all of those rocket spiders. Definitely very, very powerful out here on the hillside. Much less powerful crawling across the water. Kind of a weird no man's land. Nobody really wants to engage across that water field because, yeah, you're obviously going to be in a really huge disadvantage moving across there and losing so much speed on your units. Sharpshooters even coming up. Solos desperately needs to hold right here. Wouldn't mind investing in a higher tier sort of a army, maybe going into a little bit more durability, going for some welders, going for some fat boys, going for anything like that. Love that we're still aggressing the eco over here at the very least, pushing forward. We do have these shockwaves coming up. I suppose they'll be nice because we have the hounds here. Sometimes those shockwaves can be a little bit deceptive because you build them and you expect a whole lot of work, but really all they can do is paralyze things. They're never going to be able to actually clear anything, so it can be a little bit of an issue here. Rocket Spiders being jumped by a whole bunch of sprinters here. Not ideal. I mean, we've seen those recluses do a really good job against the sprinters, but I think that must have been some sort of freak circumstance, because really I don't think they're supposed to. Resbot right here. Ugh. Trying to resurrect or reclaim a little bit of metal up there. Accidentally gonna step too far forward and lose it. So much metal available right here. Would love to see it reclaim all that, but unfortunately just a little bit of a misstep by a misguided micro right there. Misguided resbot. A couple of scuttles over on the shore by Poicat. Are we sending them across? Oh, look at these guys dancing. Dancing in the moonlight. That's lovely. Sharpshooters make this really uncomfortable. Yeah, you really don't want to push into this with the sharpshooters out. It just really starts to hurt, and the more of them start building up here, the more difficult it is to push in with any forces. So, in that respect, I definitely love that the sharpshooters are... Ooh, nice shot from the fat boys over here. The sharpshooters are being built. It's going to dissuade any T3 that should be coming out any minute here. We're definitely stalling quite a while here. I think blue definitely could go up to T2. Sorry, T3. With very little circumstance. I mean, just ecoing in the backline, going for a couple of advanced fusion reactors, going for a couple of T3 production. Might not matter, though. Bunch of hover tanks come across the Cayman, ready to do a little bit of damage here, trying to take out Hammerhead. Oh, Hammerhead in a little bit of trouble, actually. Cool. Nice job, though, with the defense here. That was a very close D-gun, almost D-gun down his own fat boy, but didn't manage to in the, or well, managed not to, I should say, in the end. Very close call, but managed to save the day, and actually relatively little catastrophe was unfolded there for the hot pink commander. We have a semi-substantial T3 economy up and running here from Mania Machiavellisms, or Velsmus. Mania Machiavellismus. Quite a mouthful. There's a shockwave firing away again. Or trying to, anyway. LOT actually in the way of it. I really like it, actually, as a cursor with, or as a complement to other static defense. It definitely empowers other static defense to be a lot better. I'm trying to think if it's the only static defense that does EMP. I think it very well might be. I don't think there's another tower that actually just does raw EMP. There's the Twilight, which explodes and does a burst of EMP, something like a spy bot would. But I don't think there's any other tower that actually does EMP, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Interesting. There's definitely an interesting role for that. One of the things that I've always wanted for Armada is EMP landmines. It always felt like Cortex should get some sort of spicy landmine, or maybe they get the Scuttle, so Armada gets an EMP landmine. I don't know what the Scuttle's trade-off is. Usually there's some sort of trade-off between the two. Arbiters here, quite nice. I think we should probably just go for 6 or 7 of those. Could absolutely break this entire situation here. That sharpshooter going up to a single rocket right there. Very nicely done. EMP Spider, resistant to EMP. The Shockwave, however, not resistant in the slightest. Very nice. A lot of friendly fire between these Shockwaves. What's the AoE on these like? Oh, it's decent actually. Yeah, it's some decent AoE. Not bad. This is great though. We're actually sending a couple of units across, trying to do a little bit of damage here. Scouting more than anything what's going on. Kratom has rebuilt nicely here. We do have the T2 Air Lab back up and running. The T2 metal extractors are back up and churning. And we're going to go into an APHIS here. I think somebody just needs to go into a little bit of tech, pump out some T3 units, and this siege is broken right here. Ways to effectively break this siege. One of them is to get into the water. Start building some of those T2 ships, which actually looks like it is the plan right now for Godly Cree. Go for some of those T2 ships. Start raining down missiles over here. Missile boats. Start raining down with some of those dreadnoughts that can fire onto the coast here. With this much time though, I really have to imagine that you just go for full-blown T3. So much time right now for the blue team to get things together. I'm actually going to 2x it because it looks like everyone's sort of getting ready for a stalemate here. Fat Boy working away at some of these hounds up here. That's quite nice. Start blasting away chunks of those. Not bad. They're going to retreat. Good awareness there by Solos. Not losing his entire army to that sort. Spybot's out in the water here, providing wonderful reporting information. And here we go. Looks like the Green Commander has had enough of the stalemate and wants to end it all. A couple of heavy bombers coming across the map. Man, the anti-air is thick, though. A couple of chainsaws as well as some flak turrets. Gonna be putting in work here. Nicely done. Yeah, you know what? Talk about a surefire defense. That was really nicely done there by the Hot Pink Commander. The anti-air defense was on point. The wind turbines went down, but at this point, are they really that valuable? We've already got a fusion and a cloaked fusion up and running. Definitely very, very nice. Good to see. Hounds push through on this side. Realized, wait a second, we have way more numbers over here. Let's just push on through. There's a substantial defense over here. Yeah, these are Dragon's Maws and guards and twin guards and heavy laser turrets and tons of agitators. Loads of static T1 defense, which is, you know, not my favorite thing in the world, but it'll do in this situation where there's just so much of it. Yeah, these hounds decide to pull the trigger and realize, hey, we can just step on across the map here and do a bunch of damage. Why not? Here they go. Can't be in a whole lot of trouble. Well, you know, I say that. The Fat Boy doing tremendous work. The AoE on the Fat Boy shell cannot be understated. It can absolutely rip these units to shreds. Very nice indeed. A couple of wasps come across. Heavy bomber also connects with the lab and some of that build power over there, or some of the energy conversion rather over there. Whole bunch of arbiters over here as well. The walls are breaking. Goes to show it's so much easier to be the aggressor than to be the defender in this game. Defending is much harder than aggressing. Maybe seems counterintuitive, but it's absolutely true. I really think it's time to step into T3. Get an APHIS going, maybe 2, maybe 3. Surprised, frankly, that we haven't seen T3 this entire game so far. Making it hard for me to find a thumbnail. Aggression is held over here, for now. Arbiter slowly but surely blasting away at whatever's left over on this island over here. Gonna be taking down whatever they can. Spybot right here, providing the static information, or at least the information on what units are static and where those arbiters should be firing. Allowing them to disassemble this all with relative comfort. Yeah, one by one. I mean, these missiles connect with the Fat Boys. And you're slowly losing thousands and thousands of metal. Wow. It's a lot of damage in Fat Boy projectiles right there, but still not bad. I like the bombing run we were doing earlier. I wonder why we're not doing any more of those. Feel like there's definitely some value there. We've got 2 players in the air effectively, so I feel like the blue team definitely has the advantage as far as that goes. Not to mention also there's 700 metal per second that they're pulling in. Very cautious, this blue team. Very cautious indeed. None of them wanting to risk it all, and that's understandable. I've definitely lost big risking it all. Tactical nuke is well within range of the entire base here of Hammerhead, or at least the majority of the base over there. Also well within range of the majority of the base here of Lord Cambion as well. I think it would take out just about everything once those fusion reactors pop. Isn't going to matter too much though. The Arbiters are slowly but steadily trudging across the map here. Fat Boy's doing a great job of whittling down those fiends that are slowed down in the water over there. I mean, it's so difficult to push through this. Man, that water choke point is really strangling the blue team, keeping the red team safe. At the very least, the Pitbull goes down. Sharpshooters are here now, and they're ready to fire away wherever they can. Missile boats also firing away. Love to see that. Either one of them pushes through this with T2, and the other side is absolutely prepared to eradicate them with overbearing firepower here. Such a weird situation. The whole match revolving around this single choke point here. I'm not a fan. I really feel like there's a lot of better ways to approach this. I'm surprised we're not going for a substantial naval economy. But certainly we could send a dreadnought across. Maybe that would start doing some work over here. Wasps firing away. Blasting down some of these Fat Boys here. Love to see that. Pretty much free damage. Anti-nuke coverage is looking pretty fine, as far as I can tell. No more build power was built over here, so this has just been churning out scout points for a while. Playcat has gone up to 2 advanced fusion reactors, as well as some well, regular fusion reactor. We're building a whole bunch of bombers right now. I think that's exactly the right idea. Just build 40 bombers, send them across the map, and completely wipe out the enemy here. I feel like with the fighters that your ally is building right now, you can absolutely close out this match by just sending it all across. I'm gonna go ahead and speed it up again, because I feel like we're rapidly approaching that part of the game. There's a little bombing run. Emphasis on little. Okay, gunships are gonna fly in. No, they changed their mind. I think that's the right idea. No, those long-range SAM turrets are certainly putting in some work, though. We're bombing a Fat Boy over here for some reason. Not sure exactly why we're bombing that Fat Boy, but we sure are. Anti-nuke shoots down a nuclear attempt at devastation over here. That's quite nice. Everyone's so hesitant to go to T3. Finally, we see a T3 gantry coming up right here from Solos. Eventually, we're going to get into that T3 era. Feels like we're about 15 minutes too late on the T3, especially with such a little pressure here. You know that your enemy is just defending. Feels like, yeah, going for just pure T3 is going to work out pretty well here. Hammerhead was also starting up T3, but the base has been destroyed here by this LRPC firing away, as well as this tactical nuclear missile launcher. In fact, I'm pretty sure this tactical missile launcher is probably the main factor here at play. I have a strong feeling. LRPC going to be completely deflected over here, though. It's just a single LRPC, not exactly the end of the world. Nuclear missile does wipe out all of this static defense over here, and that's quite nice. It really would have been a hassle to push through that, but that definitely opens this up and makes it a whole lot more appealing to try and push through. Hounds now just brute forcing over on this side. They're going to have a terrible day as they walk into those, oh, Fat Boys. My goodness. The Fat Boys having an absolute field day, tearing apart those Hounds right there. My goodness, what a waste of T2. Those Hounds not being used for their intended purpose whatsoever. They just dived onto those Fat Boys right there. I think Welders, I think Mammoths, I think Sumos, I think virtually anything else. Any other assault unit would be a lot better suited to that sort of a thing. My goodness. Long-range missile towers just constantly firing away as well. T3 gantry comes up here for Hammerhead. He doesn't really have the facilities to produce out of this. I mean, he has the res bots. Not the res bots, the T1 construction bots. Could certainly start building some build power and actually make some T3 units. Maybe some water, maybe something like that. What was that gantry on the other side? Here we go. We do have some T3 coming out right now for Solos. Have we got a T3 economy? Not really. We're kind of on T1 still. We've got a fusion reactor and a whole lot of advanced solar panels. Certainly could convert all that into aphices here. Loads of scout planes being sent across right now in a big old scouting wave. Also effectively wasting the SAM turrets. They're projectiles here, which is quite nice. Finally, some welders hit the field. It seems like bots can only walk on a very specific part of this. Makes this choke point extremely dangerous to deal with. Either way, the welders are pushing forward right there. Bunch of sneaky ducks pushing forward as well. There's a couple of pit bulls here, though, so those will do a decent job of cleaning a lot of that up. This is where the action's at, though. The mammoth and the welders, everyone and their mother pushing forward right now. The blue army encroaches. The maroon player is certainly feeling the sting of all those T2 units. Tactical missile launcher connects with one of the fusion reactors over here. I think the welders and the mammoths and all the rest of it are going to burn down that T3 lab. Second fusion reactor pops as well. Even the counter intrusion system goes. Looks like those ducts were mostly cleaned up over here on the left-hand side. Fat boys and all that. All the rest of it, cleaning it all up quite nicely. Looks like the fighters will be pulled here as well. Razorback's going to be accompanying everything else. Razorback breaking this southern line here. More than sturdy enough to deal with all of the static defense that was built over here, all the T1 static defense that was built over here. Mania Machiavellismus goes down. Bombers come in to connect with the fusion reactor right here from Malpertius. Malpertius? Malpertius. I'm gonna go with Malpertius. One base remains. My goodness, what a stand. The standoff at the beach. I don't know if I've ever seen a standoff that tense between two commanders right there. Another commander does go down. The Razorbacks are now piercing into the base over here. Targeting the anti-nuke. Anti-nuke is blasted down right there. Means that the... Oh, actually, there's another anti-nuke over here. Doubly protected is the Maroon commander. Keeping his base safe. Pop go the energy converters. Pop goes the fusion reactors. Pop goes everything else that could have powered a comeback right here. And that's going to be a long overdue win here for the blue team as they managed to snatch it away here. We'll just kick this into overdrive as we watch the final last stand right here from our Maroon commander. Feels like it took an eternity to get those T3 units out and running here. I feel like definitely the blue team misunderstood how much of an advantage they had right there, but eventually managing to capitalize on their push through the northern section of the map, their stronghold on the southern section here, and turning it into a total victory. Thanks a ton for watching. If you made it this far, I do appreciate it. I hope you consider subscribing down below and joining up on the Brightworks. Over 5,000 members at this point, which just blows my mind every single day. Other than that, though, there's also a Discord link down below where you can go and follow and join up in case you want to submit a replay of your own, or if you just want to join a bunch of other folks who love the game and would love to talk to you about it. Other than that, though, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next match of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, folks.